Fantastic. So recording has started. Angela, over to you.
Okay, so thank you, Emma. You're not going to record your intro?
Sorry, just mute. There we go. I'm back. Yes, I most definitely can too. So, hello, welcome. We are very excited. We are in the final countdown to the Bath Half. For those of you that are watching this after it's been recorded, if you've got any questions or anything, fire them over. Anything that you feel that we've missed or anything that's personal to you, fire them over, and either I'll be able to help or Angela will be able to help. But thank you so much to all those that are supporting Bath Rugby Foundation. We are eternally grateful. Without you, the foundation can't do its amazing work with young people, which we've got so many amazing success stories that are thanks to your hard fundraising. And actually we've got a couple, we've got Jazz, who's one of our amazing young people who now works for the foundation. She's also running the Bath Half. So for those that are coming to the hub, you'll get to meet her on the day, and I hope you find her as inspiring as I do. She's a pretty fantastic young lady. But we are very grateful for Angela giving up her time to talk to everyone tonight about the Bath Half and to share her tips and knowledge. Angela's been working with Bath Rugby Foundation for quite a few years now, donating her time and expertise to help our runners get over the finish line at the Bath Half. And she's got so many useful nuggets to talk about tonight. So yes, Angela, over to you.
Thanks, Emma. So hi to everyone in the audience and hi to those watching on Catch Up. And if you're watching it on Catch Up or you're watching it another time, if you want a link to the presentation with the slides, Emma can give you that as well. So you don't have to sort of take lots of notes. There's a lot of information to cover, and I'll get through as much as I can within the time allocated. I do tend to speak quite fast when I get excited, so Emma, if I go off on a big talking tangent, let me know and I'll slow down. So a little bit about me. As Emma said, I've been working with Bath Rugby Foundation for about 6 or 7 years. Bath Half Marathon this year will be my 10th official running of Bath Half Marathon. I've run it lots of times and done the route lots and lots. I'm also a running coach. That's my job. I also am the owner and director of Run Bath. That's more of a hobby, but that's a social running group. And I'm also a guide runner. So you'll see me in my guide runner outfit there. And that's for guiding visually impaired and blind runners. That's something I feel very passionate about. So there you go. That's a little bit about me. And pretty much known around Bath as that running lady. That's what people call me. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the new route. Now, if this is the first time that you've run Bath Half, of course it's all new. But let's have a talk about the actual route itself. And I'm just going to pick out a few bits of information. So by now you should have your race pack. If you haven't, we'll address that after the presentation, but you should have your race pack with your race number. Your race number will have a colour. It'll either be white, green or orange. And depending on what colour your bib is will determine your start time. So instead of having everyone all in one go, starting at the same time, it'll be slightly staggered. So the faster runners will be starting earlier and the slower runners starting a bit later. It's just to manage everyone. And the start and the finish is in Royal Victoria Park. And if you know where the little bandstand is, it's between the bandstand and the Royal Crescent. So a really nice place to start the race this year. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, talk about what the loops are in a second, but it's worth familiarising yourself with the route and where the water stations are, where the gel stations are, which direction it's going in. One thing I say to people, you're not going to get lost because unless you're at the front, you'll be following someone else. And if you're at the front of the pack, come and see me afterwards, okay? So most people won't be at the front, so just follow everyone else. So let's have a look at a little bit more detail. There are 2 laps or 2 loops, and here we got the starting point in Victoria Park, down Marlborough Lane, all the way along Newbridge Road, back along Lower Bristol Road, all the way along through Widcombe, up to Great Pulteney Street, back down via Widcombe, over the bridge by the bus station, around Green Park, up towards Queen Square, but not into Queen Square, and along back along, and then we get to there. So this is where we've left off here. So the loop 2, I've started it here at the bottom of Marlborough Lane. So this is where we are here, and it goes back out again along Newbridge Road, back along Lower Bristol Road, all the way up to where near the bus station. And instead of going out along towards Great Pulteney Street, this time it comes back through Green Park, around up past Queen Square, back into the park. So it is a 2-loop or 2-lap course, but as you can see, the first lap is nearer 8 miles and the second lap is nearer 5 miles. I think that's actually great, because by the time you've done 1 lap, you're more than halfway through. Now, I have done a video run through of the race. I filmed it in my car, so it's not 100% accurate in terms of how you'll be running on the day, but I want to share that with you. Now, this is where technology goes awry, because I've got to try now get that to work on YouTube. So please bear with me.
That's now showing, Angela. We can see the YouTube page.
Okay, so
Angela, we've just got like a fuzzed out saying click to exit full screen. Ah, that, yeah, if you restart it, we should be able to see that now.
say that again.
We had it fuzzed out on ours. We couldn't see it.
Okay.
So if you, and now it's just dropped. Like, yeah, there we go. If you stay on that.
I'll tell you what.
No, it's where you were was perfect. If you click back through, yeah, there. But if you start it again, we'll be able to watch it now.
Could you not see it?
We couldn't see it originally. Now we can see it. Perfect. So that's playing now. you really get an idea of where the hills are, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm also very pleased to see that you observed the rules of the road and didn't go through any red lights.
Okay, are you there, Emma?
Yep, so I'm back to seeing you, and now, yep, we are back to the presentation.
Okay.
So we're not quite on that full screen mode that you had the presentation before. We can see the slides that are coming up. Can you set it to full screen?
Oh, technology.
It doesn't matter if it stays like this. It just, we can see the.
Oh. Let's try it again. Can you see that?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, but we can still see it in presenter mode, but that's absolutely fine. It's not a problem. We can see it like that. We'll just see any notes that you've got down the side. Probably your presenter view is what we can see.
I'll go in, sorry.
When you, because you're still sharing your screen at the moment, if you stop sharing and then select that specific window, because at the moment we're sharing everything that you are.
It's fine, I don't need the notes. I'm just going into present full screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you can see it now.
It's come up with click to exit full screen. I don't think it likes doing it like that.
What do you want me to do?
Emil is just like, I would stop sharing your screen a second.
Yeah.
And then go back in with selecting the window. So set it up to run as you had it before, and then select the right window that you. Because we can still see your screen, so you need to go back and stop sharing. And then when you share window as opposed to screen. Up. That's better. Yep. Yep. There we go. Perfect.
Right. Okay. So tapering. So what is a taper? So in the last 2 to 3 weeks before a race, half marathon, marathon or big race, there is a reduction in the effort that you're putting in your training. So it's a gradual decline in either mileage, the number of runs that you're doing, the intensity, or your long run distance. So generally speaking, 2 to 3 weeks before the race day, you should have done your long run and you should be starting to come down. Think of it as like battery recharging. You don't want your battery to be empty at the day of the race. You want to give these next couple of weeks time for your body to recover. Now, a lot of people say that they find the taper period really hard because if they've been training 3 times a week or 4 times a week or whatever I've been doing, lots of running, lots of training, now it's sort of been taken away from you and it just feels a bit odd. So my recommendation over the next coming weeks till race day, it's a bit like waiting for Christmas when you're a child. It's like 20 sleeps, 18 sleeps, it never comes. So instead of getting stressed about it, just keep yourself busy. So I like to get my kit out and think, what am I going to wear? You might think about getting a sports massage. Focus on your sleep. Keep active though. That doesn't mean don't do anything. It doesn't mean stop doing any exercise, but maybe not hard running, not some hilly or interval sessions or really long runs. And then I've just put that picture there and say, well, maybe all those friends that you've neglected from because you were training, maybe go out with them and have a glass of fizzy water and a bowl of salad. The other thing I would say in this taper period is don't try anything new. Now is not the time to take up rock climbing or weightlifting. Do something like walk, swim, yoga, stretching. You know, if you haven't got running to fill up your time, don't fill it with another extreme sport. So embrace the next couple of weeks and just let your body recover and let it go before race day. So that's tapering in a very quick nutshell. Let's talk about nutrition. Now, this is a subject in its own right, and I will try to do it justice in the short time that we've got. But essentially, nutrition, and I'm talking about what you eat and what you drink, it is the key to success or failure in any endurance event. Get it right, and you should have a great race. Get it wrong, and I don't want to go there. So let's have a think about nutrition now, the week before, and the day before the race. So when I say now, I mean any training runs that you do. So we talk about gut training, and what I mean by that is what can you tolerate when you're running. Some people can eat a full meal and then go out for a run and feel fine. Some people need 2 hours between eating and running. Some people can have gels, jelly babies, water, everything when they're running. Some people can't tolerate that, and maybe just a small amount of jelly baby or a tiny sip of gel. So find out what works for you over the next, if you haven't done it already, practice that over the coming weeks. So you know what your start time is for your race. Perhaps practice doing a run at the weekend that it's the same time as your start run. So if you're starting at 11 a.m, maybe think about, okay, if I have breakfast at 8:30 or even 9 o'clock, then that's 2 hours before I run. How does your body feel when you run on a, toast with jam? How does your body feel after running with a big bowl of porridge inside you? That's what gut training is. So the week before, it's important to make sure you stay hydrated. Try to think about every meal containing an element of carbs and protein. And don't try anything new. Now's not the time to go and get your Thai cookbook out of the cupboard and start cooking up all these new concoctions because you're bored, because you're not running. And I've said there no alcohol. Certainly you should be thinking about cutting back on alcohol if you drink at the weekends, or you drink regularly, or I don't want to be the alcohol police here, but it'll help you on race day if you cut back or get rid of it completely. The day before, you want to be thinking, and in fact, actually, I think about the 2 days before. So if a race is a Sunday, I'm really conscious about what I'm eating on a Saturday, and I'm also conscious about what I eat on Friday. So I start thinking about my nutrition for a big race on the Friday. And, when I say don't skip any meals, we all have busy lifestyles, but it's not the time to be doing things like fasting, or it's not the time to be doing like counting your calories and eating an 800 calorie day because you're looking you're looking to lose some weight or what have you. This is not what this is about. You need carbs for energy, and you need protein for recovery, muscle repair. So yes, make sure you eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and have snacks in between. I'll talk about what carb loading is. And make sure that the day before, make sure you've got enough time for that food to be digested before you go to bed. And again, practice. You've got a couple of weekends before Bath Half now, depending on when you're listening to this. You've got a couple of weekends. Practice what you're going to have for dinner on Saturday night, what you're going to have for breakfast on Sunday morning. There isn't one size fits all for fueling, it has to be said. An easy way to think about it is, in the UK and in fact across the world, you have the healthy eating plate, which generally looks like this: a quarter of protein, a quarter of carbohydrate, and lots of fruit and veg. That's fine, just in a normal life. That's what this looks like: easy recovery days or non-running days. But if you look at how that changes to a hard intensity exercise, as in something that's 2 hours or more, and you want to be doing this the day before the race, you see that it's actually quite a lot of carbohydrates. So that's really, in its simplest form, what carb loading is. So if for example, if I was having a normal meal here, I might have, a small portion of rice, a small chicken breast with a massive salad. The night before race day, I'm having a massive load of rice, probably a large chicken breast, and I would cut out the salad, and I'd probably just have a few mushrooms. You don't want fibre the day before, really, either. So the other thing to think about is, we talked about, the weeks before and the day before, about the day of the race. So I think there's a lot, again, this is a subject in its own right, but I like to think of this as, before, during and after, right from the time when you wake up. Are you the sort of person that needs a black coffee before you can even open your eyelids? What time are you having breakfast? If you're starting the run at 11 a.m., and you've had breakfast at 7 a.m., that's quite a long time. Do you need to take a banana or something to have while you're waiting at the start? Are you going to have some water before you start? What are you going to do during the race? We'll talk about that. What are you going to drink? What are you going to have later in the race? Do you need a gel for energy? What are you going to do afterwards? A lot of people aren't hungry after finishing a long run. And what are you going to have afterwards? Plan ahead. Now, I've put in there some little toilet papers, and without going into a huge amount of detail, at some point in your body, you will have to be visiting the bathroom. Now, that might be dependent on when you eat, when you have your black coffee, or any of the above. But you need to think about that as well, really. Have a plan for when you do need to visit the bathroom, and don't drink gallons of water because you forgot to drink it yesterday and the day before, because obviously you'll be queuing the whole time. Are you going to have a strategy on the day of the race? Are you going to take your own water? Are you going to take your own fuel? Are you going to take your own gels, your own jelly babies? Some people run with hydration vests. Some people run with little bottles. Now that, you might have done that in your training. But what are you going to do on the day of the race? There are 2 water stops. So you should be visiting both of those water stops twice. And there's 1 place for gels as well. So last year they did actually say they recommend people bring their own bottles or their own cups because they're trying to cut down on single-use plastics and waste and stuff. So, there's not some people prefer to take their own hydration vest. Some people use what's on the route, but just have a plan for what you're going to do. It's unlikely that you're going to be able to get from the start all the way around the course without a sip of water and without some fuel. Again, it's a subject in its own right. Happy to talk to people about it separately afterwards, because it's not something I can cover really fairly quickly. It's quite complicated.
Angela, just to confirm, they are encouraging again people to bring their own water bottles and hydration vests. They are trying to make this a plastic-free event, and so for those that are not part of Bath Rugby Foundation, in the runners village, they've got areas where you can top up your reusable water bottles, but they're not giving out plastic water bottles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty much what I thought. I think last year you were able to grab a drink from the water stations, but they were very small cups, and I don't know if anybody's ever tried running with a cup trying to drink the water. It's virtually impossible. So take your own, or you can actually buy little collapsible cups that you can stick in your pocket and use that as well. But I think eventually all races are going to go over to that form. I was at an aid station on a race a few weeks ago, and we had plenty of water available, but there were no cups. It was the rule of that race, and if you didn't bring your own water bottle, you didn't get a drink. So anyway, I'm going off at a bit of a tangent here, but yes. So some ideas for nutrition. Again, talk about this forever. I'm just going to use myself as an example. Everyone is different. You need to work out what works for you. So the night before, I would have something like rice or pasta or potatoes with chicken, fish, or tofu and water. Breakfast, I'll usually have boiled eggs, toast. Some people have porridge, coffee or tea, a banana, and some water. On the way to the start line, I'll probably take if I haven't had it at breakfast, I'll have a banana. That's not chocolate, it's just like a sort of protein bar. A bit more water. During the race, yeah, I might take a protein bar, I might have a gel, some jelly babies, or some electrolyte drink. I fuel every 30 minutes, so I will take on board either half a gel or a jelly baby or something every 30 minutes. That's the way I do it. It doesn't matter what you do, practice it in training, but just keep it like topped up throughout. And after the race, you don't have to have a burger, but you want to be thinking about having some real food within an hour of finishing, whether that's a sandwich, whether it's some real food. It's going to help you feel better the next day. So food for recovery. Now, the Race HQ, this is Bath Rugby Foundation Race HQ. Emma's told me that there'll be hot drinks, water. You'll be able to get snacks there before and afterwards. There'll be food as well. In fact, last year I remember there was crisps and sandwiches. That was really nice. But if you're not, they'll be there again. Yeah. So, and if you're not with Bath Rugby Foundation, then you're going to be in the race village. You're going to have to take your own stuff, or have someone that's going to meet you afterwards and take your own stuff. But the thing to think about is you might have heard people saying, "Oh, I hit the wall at mile 10." Usually people say that in marathons, but I hit the wall. That's usually because people have run out of energy, run out of fuel. If you imagine that you're going to burn about 2,000 calories running a half marathon, that's 2,000 calories. That's about 1,500 calories more than you would have been if you just sat around watching TV. So look, big subject, but yeah. Let's go on to race planning. Now, again, this is something you can do over the coming weeks. I talked a little bit about the timing of the race, but the way I like to think about it is work backwards from the race start time. So have a think back about, okay, so if your race start time is 11, and I'm just using 11 as an example because it's easier to remember that. Working backwards from there, what time do you need to get to the start line? They recommend about an hour to 90 minutes. There's going to be a lot of people around. Do you need to go and visit the bathroom, the portaloos? How many times? There'll be a queue. How long is it going to take you to walk to the start? If you can't walk to the start, how long is it going to take you to get there by train, by bus, by car? You're allowing extra time for parking. Coming back, what time are you going to have breakfast? What time do you have that first coffee? What time do you need to get up and have a shower? What time do you need to use the bathroom? Oh my goodness! And you can see that an 11 a.m. start time could end up being a 5 a.m. alarm, especially if you've got a couple of hours of travel to get there. So always allow extra time, because the last thing you want to do is burn out all your energy stressing about not being able to park or not knowing where you're going. There's lots of different race strategies. Again, I think this is something that's personal to each individual, but you want to not think about the whole race being 13 miles or 21 kilometres, because it's a big chunk, and you saw from that race preview that I did, it's a long way. So break it down into manageable chunks. Either think about, the next landmark I've got is the bridge by the boathouse. Now, obviously, you have to know Bath a little bit to know where the things are, or think about breaking it down into 3 mile chunks, 3, 6, 9, 12. 3, 6, 9, 12, and you're finished. Think about 5 kilometres, 5, 10, 15, 20. Oh yeah, you're nearly finished. And just focus on those bits that you're in, or you can do it in minutes. So, break it down into 30 minutes. Have a think about breaking it down into different fueling chunks. I said, there you go, every 30 minutes. If you want my strategy is I count every third mile. and I won't even look at the mile markers until it's 3, and I'll go, yay, mile 3. And then I fuel every 30 minutes. So I've got sort of like a double strategy there, if you like. This is a little bit about, this is another way of breaking it down into 13 different chunks, not 13 different miles. So, you know, the first one is mile 1, get some water. You know, the next one is this long boring bit here, I'll be looking out for the battle of the bands, and so on and so on and so forth. So it's just different ways of breaking it down, rather than thinking about it being 21 kilometres or 13 miles of running 2 loops of around the Lower Bristol Road, the Upper Bristol Road. There's a little talk about pacing, and basically don't start off too fast. That's the simpleness of it. Don't start too fast. You know, if you look at the difference between a novice runner, an experienced runner, and an elite runner, a novice runner generally starts off too fast, burns out all their energy in the first half, and has to walk the last bit. An experienced runner starts off steady, runs the second half slightly faster than the first, still possibility of errors of judgment, and the elite runners will be able to run at the same pace throughout. So one of my favourite quotes is this: if you bank time early in the race, you'll be forced to withdraw that time later in the race with interest applied. So if you run the first 5k and think, oh wow, I'm doing really well for time, yeah, that's going to probably come back and haunt you later. Another thing to do is have these little coping strategies for the day. You don't have to have all of them, but it just helps you keep your mind focused if things don't feel right, or if things are going a bit hard, or it's just feeling a bit tough. You know, you can read all of those. I won't go through them. But some of my favourite ones are look for the colours of the rainbow. You know, I would go red. I'm looking for a red jump, someone wearing a red top, or yellow socks, or a green hat, something like that. Or just chat to another runner, that's a good one. This one here, I think, is this: remember why you're doing it. And there's a lot of times when people are running about a half marathon or a race where they spend so much time focusing on their physical body and what their body is doing, but actually forget why they're doing it. And generally speaking, people have got similar sort of whys, you know, for charity, for a personal challenge, to, you know, show people that you can do something that you didn't think you can do, you know, as a role model for your kids, or, you know, because your workmates have said, oh, you're not going to be able to do it. I don't know, whatever reason, but go back to that why. And when you're raising money for charity, it really is a good way to keep you going. The first time I ran Bath Half, and I did it for a charity, I actually worked out how much money I was making for the charity per mile. So I'd be like, oh, I've made this much that mile. So just think about the mind aspect of it as well to the physical. And I'll add this in this sort of strategy and planning bit, because it is often forgotten when we get tired and we're fatigued. So I see people running under fatigue and their posture's dropping, and they're just like, and if anyone's had coaching from me, you'll know that doing this when you're running is the worst thing that you can do. It makes it 10 times harder. So think about that, looking ahead, keeping your shoulders relaxed, keeping your hands relaxed, driving back with the elbows, keeping your hips high. You know, just think about just running and being proud and running tall. It'll help you, and it also looks good on the photos. And I like to say to people, have a mantra or a saying or something that you can come back to, just to sort of, you know, can you do this? And I think my favourite one is Dean Karnas's, who's an amazing American runner. He says, run when you can, walk if you have to, crawl if you must, but just never give up. And I think that just pretty much says it all. Just you know, just do it. And then moving on to very quickly what you do afterwards. And I call it mile 14. Keep moving as much as you can. I mean, the finish line it's not like you're going to be able to jump in your car and go home, or from the finish line you're going to have to walk anyway, so that's good. Keep walking. Motion is lotion, so keep walking. It'll help get, flush out all the, the soreness in your muscles. Just keep moving, keep walking. Whether you're going back to Bath Rugby Foundation HQ, or whether you're going back to the race village to get your bag, change into some dry, warm, comfortable clothes as soon as possible. I have a special pair of shoes that I wear. They're recovery slides, and they're just amazing. It's just really nice to slip those on, and a nice warm jumper. And just little cozy stuff like that makes a big difference. And make sure that you replenish your calorie expenditure. Again, I don't know why burger keeps popping up in my presentations, but I think everybody can relate to the fact that there's some carbohydrates and some protein in there, and that's what you need. You need that on board for recovery. And then afterwards, the days and weeks after, do some gentle stretching. If you can get a sports massage, great. If you can get a sports massage straight after the event, even better. But maybe a day or two after. Continue with the gentle exercise as well. Make sure you eat and drink well. It's not just before the race, after as well for recovery. Really focus on recovery. If you feel like sleeping a little bit more, absolutely fine. And some people get these things called post-race blues. So all the training and all the height and the greatness of the day and the race and everything, if you get some, it's very well known that people get a little bit of a slump. That's fine. I have a antidote for that, and that is enter another race. So my final thoughts are, and I'm just going to leave this screen up. I'm not going to read it all through because it's just a sort of summary of a few of the things that I've picked up and from the presentation, and a few other bits and pieces as well. I think the one that I forgot to mention is take a throwaway top with you at the start. If it's cold, and it's likely to be chillier at the start if you're starting early, and you can buy, when you go to a charity shop, buy a jumper from a charity shop, wear it to the start line and discard it at the start line. You'll see piles of jumpers. They collect them up and wash them and take them back to charity shops, so it's a bit of a win-win-win. Emma, any questions that have come up, or anything else that you think I've missed?
Nope, nothing's come in question-wise. Although it looks like someone's typing at the moment, so just no questions so far. We are all good.
Brilliant. Okay. So
well, shall I stop the recording a second and then?
I was just going to say, don't forget. Remember I said about how to counteract those post-race blues? Well, get signed up for next year. So yeah, so the race is March the 17th, 2024, and the entry is open on the day after Bath Half. But yes, please stop the recording.
And the other great thing about it moving back to March, although you've got the winter runs, it gives you something to get out the house for in the winter, because it's so tempting to stay inside, isn't it? But actually, it's a nice time to train without all of that heat that maybe you've suffered from in the summer. Thank you so much, Angela, for all your time. I'm going to stop the record. But like I said, anyone that's watching this has got any questions, please do shout, and I will be able to answer them or put them to Angela. So let me just stop the recording.